come to Iowa the day that I toured campus.
Felt like, all right, this is where I'm supposed to be.
I was looking at all the different buildings and the manicured lawns and thought, oh, this is like college. I can be a student, I can experiment, I can try, I can fail, and I can also eat dining hall food.
Being here in Iowa City, there were so many things going on. It was such a vibrant academic and intellectual, but also creative community.
There's not a person in my major or that I've met at Iowa that I don't feel like I can go to.
It really felt more like a family.
Iowa does an amazing job of giving you so many different resources to figure out who you truly are when you come here.
The coolest thing about being a Hawkeye is that it doesn't mean one thing.
I want to be a visual storyteller and a filmmaker. That's been given to me here can really help me with that.
Being a sorority president, that gave me a lot of leadership experience, and I want to use that skill to impact other people.
Valuing the people that you work with is the most important thing, and that's definitely the lesson that I'm going to take away.
Being able to have the entire country rally behind you and having that lasting impact on women's basketball, it's honestly a dream come true.
I've never even been into sports, but I learned just how awesome it is to be in that community of we are all students here right now cheering on this one thing.
Every time I wear a Hawkeye shirt, I always hear somebody yell, "Go Hawks," at me, so I know that that's going to follow me wherever I go.
From COVID and everything that happened, I was stripped down to the essentials of leaning on my people and learning how to allow people to help me.
Coming from a first-generation student, being resilient meant staying through college, pushing myself to be the best that I can be.
Not being able to see my family, that was really tough in a way that I probably still haven't completely processed.
I'm thankful for the peers as well as the mentors that I've had who have allowed me to be resilient.
I would love to thank my mom, my dad, obviously.
Thank you, Aunt Kelly and Uncle Mike, for raising me, for being there for me. And
My colleagues for some of the best years of my life.
I would like to thank the UI Reach program, my grandparents. I like to thank them.
Thank you, Mom and Dad.
엄마, 아빠 항상 나와주고 이런 경험하게 해줘서 너무 고맙고 이제 졸업인데.
My roommates, Alyssa and Leah, shout out to you guys.
Thank you to my beautiful fiance and soon-to-be wife, Renee.
Thank you to my friends for making all of this worth it.
Gathered family and friends, if you are able, please rise for the academic procession. The candidates for Bachelor of Business Administration degree from the Tippie College of Business have gathered to celebrate commencement. All are in their places. These proceedings have hereby been called to order. You may be seated. It is my pleasure to introduce the Dean of the Tippie College of Business and Professor of Management and Entrepreneurship, Dr. Amy Christoph Brown.
Let's fix that. Good evening. On behalf of the Tippie College of Business and the University of Iowa, I welcome all of you, graduating seniors, family members, friends, faculty, and staff of the college, to this commencement in this meaningful space, Carver Hawkeye Arena. After this recent basketball season, I think this is a very fitting place to hold our ceremony, as it reminds us of all the things we have to be proud of at the University of Iowa. Today, we are especially proud of you, the 2023 Tippie College of Business graduating seniors. Commencement allows us to honor your accomplishments by celebrating and reflecting upon this important milestone. You set a goal, pursued it with rigor and enthusiasm, and today you cross the finish line. Tomorrow you start something new as a college graduate, but tonight I hope you celebrate. Just a few weeks ago, this arena was filled with cheering, clapping, tears, shouts of joy, a lot of fist pumping, and even some jumping up and down and hugging. And I hope we feel it that way today as well. As graduates, you may be feeling emotions that range from excitement to relief, exhilaration to exhaustion, and anticipation to apprehension about what comes next. But one thing I hope you're feeling is proud. The family, friends, spouses, faculty, and staff who are here with you today are certainly feeling that about what you have accomplished. Before proceeding further, I would like to introduce you to the faculty and invited guests joining us today to honor our graduates as they earn their degrees. Please stand as I introduce you. Joining me on the platform today, Alexandra Nika, Associate Professor of Instruction and Director of Undergraduate Studies in Economics. Christina Bigsby, Lecturer of Business Analytics. Daniel Newton, Assistant Professor of Management and Entrepreneurship. Semin Park, Assistant Professor of Management and Entrepreneurship. Charles Keene, Associate Dean, Undergraduate Program and Professor of Instruction in Marketing. Barry Thomas, Senior Associate Dean, and Gary C. Fethke, Professor of Business Analytics. J. Martin Schultz, Vice President for Research and Professor of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. Megan Gustafson, professional basketball player, WNBA Phoenix Mercury. Kathy Zaharis, Professor of Practice of Finance. Rob Rowenhurst, Associate Professor of Instruction of Marketing. Michelle Williams, Tippie DEI Faculty Fellow, John L. Miklo, Faculty Fellow in Entrepreneurship, and Associate Professor of Management and Entrepreneurship. David Stubing, Associate Professor of Instruction of Accounting. Tippie faculty and staff serving as marshals are Mike Altemeyer, Associate Professor of Practice of Business Analytics, Kristen Stratt-Johnson from Undergraduate Program Office, Brent Pritchard, Lecturer of Finance, Adrian Rhodes, the Rocca Faculty Fellow and Assistant Professor of Accounting, and Tom Walsh, Associate Professor of Practice and Director of Undergraduate Studies in Marketing. Would they please rise so they can be acknowledged? Come on, marshals, you can stand. There we go. Thank you all. I would also like to give special thanks and recognition to the members of the Iowa Brass Quintet. On trumpets, Professor Michael Gauss and Kaylin Laundrie. On horn, Kelly Cruz. On trombone, Dr. Jonathan Allen. On tuba, Professor John Manning. and all of our proceedings will be interpreted by Ryan Vaughn. It is now my pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker, Megan Gustafson. Megan Gustafson is a professional basketball player currently playing for the Phoenix Mercury in the WNBA. A native of Port Wing, Wisconsin, Gustafson's high school, academic, and basketball success followed her to the University of Iowa. It was at Iowa where she earned the 2018-19 Naismith Player of the Year, ESPNW National Player of the Year, and Associated Press Player of the Year awards. Her impressive record at Iowa resulted in her number 10, being retired and hung from the rafters in Carver Hawkeye Arena. In addition to her athletic success, Gustafson earned a minor in psychology and degrees in finance and marketing from the University of Iowa Tippie College of Business. Drafted as the 17th overall pick in 2019 by the Dallas Wings, Gustafson's basketball career has taken her from Dallas to Washington to her current NBA home in Phoenix. It has also given her the opportunity to play abroad during the off-season in Hungary, Poland, and most recently Greece, where her team, the Olympiakos, won the 2023 Greek League Championship. While you may think that her basketball career keeps her busy enough, Gustafson continues her academic pursuits as a student in the University of Iowa's online MBA program. Welcome, Megan.
Good afternoon, Tippie College of Business Class of 2023, and welcome to all the family and friends here in attendance today to witness your graduates achieve this exciting milestone. As a proud alum, I have to say, it is such a great honor to be speaking today and to be back in Carver Hawkeye Arena. Man, I miss this place. Exactly 4 years ago, you could have found me here, sitting in one of your chairs with the graduation cap and gown on, trying to press the soles of my feet more heavily into the ground, or should I say, basketball court. You see, I was really trying to feel the moment, to take it all in, to remember and cherish my last time as an undergrad student at the University of Iowa, my last time walking the halls of Papa John, my last time lacing up my shoes and wearing an Iowa jersey. Thinking back to every single one of these moments, only one afterthought came to mind. Be where your feet are. It's a phrase that stuck with me all throughout my time here, and now into my life as a professional athlete. And no, I didn't hear it from Scott O'Neill, the guy who actually came up with the quote, but rather I was told this repeatedly by the greatest of all time, Iowa women's basketball coach, Lisa Bluter. To be honest, I thought she was the one who invented the saying right up until I had to write this speech. It's a good thing I looked it up because, well, if not, I would currently be accused of wrongful citation and plagiarism. Probably not the best impression to have as a commencement speaker. But no matter who first wove those words together in a beautifully simple sentence, Coach Bluter, in the way in which she said it best. Why? Because she not only preached this, she truly lives it out each and every day. So, as I speak here on the stage right now in front of all of you, I'm standing firm. Standing firm and being right where my feet are. I encourage you as graduates now to do the same. Feel your feet. Remember where you are. Embrace this moment as it is so well deserved. After 4 years of hard work and dedication, you are about to receive a diploma from the University of Iowa. And as you take it all in, I want you to remember 3 important keys to truly be where your feet are. The first is this: hardship often prepares an ordinary person for an extraordinary destiny. C.S. Lewis was absolutely on point when he said this, because it is exactly during those struggles and hardships in life where people get better. they get stronger, and they learn how to build the knowledge and wisdom necessary for following extraordinary pathways. But what does this look like? Well, believe it or not, it feels like a lot like running into failure over and over again. It feels like falling on the ground 7 times, but then figuring out how to get back up 8 times after that. Personally, I could be up here for hours talking about how many times I have fallen, and not just literally on a court. But I'll give you the Wikipedia version super quick. After becoming the National Player of the Year in college, I was drafted, and then was swiftly cut for my first chance in the WNBA. This happened only weeks later in training camp. I was then immediately jostled around, picked up again and again by the same and different teams, and ultimately I got cut 3 more times. And every single time I was told the same thing. They told me I wasn't good enough, that I needed to improve, that my game didn't translate to this level, that they couldn't make room for me on the team. All those words, however hard it was to hear them, motivated me to push myself to my personal limits, and then to keep pushing past those limits until they didn't exist any longer. Eventually, I found myself improving and evolving, but never forgetting who I was, what got me to that point, and every point moving forward. I reached, and still today continue to reach, new heights that I never felt possible before. This summer marks my 5th year in the WNBA and my 2nd season with the Phoenix Mercury. I get to play with and against the best basketball players in the world. And I can confidently say this: I am still here and will continue to be here no matter how many more times I might fall. Now, I want you to reach your limits. I want you to reach out, experience what it's like to fall and fall again. And only in those moments will you fully understand how to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and become the best version of yourself. And that brings me to my 2nd piece of advice. Just be you. Yet another simple but meaningful phrase I learned during my time in an Iowa jersey. Jan Jensen, who is the associate head coach under Lisa Bluter and nationally known as the post-player whisperer, encouraged me with those words on multiple occasions over the years. It became a part of our pregame ritual that I looked forward to before stepping out onto the court of this amazing place. Just be you means so much more than 3 small words. It means to know your strengths and be confident in your abilities. It means to work on your weaknesses so they aren't weaknesses anymore. And it means to enjoy the journey along the way. Just be you is still to this day a gentle reminder for me to take a deep breath, to be where my feet are, and to know that everything is going to be okay no matter what I will face. I truly hope that this can be a reminder for you too. And finally, the last key, and perhaps the most important one that I will leave you with today is this: be a champion of others first. I am exactly where my feet are, and you are exactly where your feet are, because of the people who love you most. You know the saying, it takes a village to raise a child? And this quote, by the way, doesn't have a pinpointed original author. I think it is perfectly fitting that no one can identify a single person who said this verse, because none of us can truly achieve greatness all on our own. It also takes a village to create a champion. And if it weren't for those villagers, for your villagers, reaching the greatness you have achieved on graduation day wouldn't have been possible. So today, right after you receive your diploma, move your tassel from right to left, and throw your caps into the air, I hope you hug your villagers. They are your parents, grandparents, sisters, brothers, friends, and the rest of your people who are here today in the stands and those who couldn't. Whoever they are, hug them tight and always think of them. Be their best cheerleader in life because they have done that for you. They have raised you, sacrificed for you, been there to help pick you up, and have always been by your side. A person becomes a true winner in life when they put themselves second and crown the champions who got them there first. I want to thank the University of Iowa, also known as the greatest school in the world. for giving me this wonderful opportunity to be here today. Finally, to the Tippie College of Business class of 2023, congrats, and as always, go Hawks.
Thank you, Megan, for your inspiring remarks. The business world expects great things from Tippie graduates, and from what I know of them, our graduates have what it takes to meet and exceed those expectations. It is now my pleasure to introduce today's student speaker, Zaina Abishar. Zaina Abishar is graduating with a BBA in Finance and Economics and is on the pre-law track. Zaina is a Dean's List student and was selected as one of Tippie's top 21. During her time at Iowa, Zaina founded and served as the president of Amnesty International, was a consultant at the Frank Business Communication Center, a direct admit peer mentor for the Direct Admit Seminar, and a peer mentor for BizEdge. As a Tippie student, Zaina conducted research for the economics department and participated in numerous case competitions. After graduation, Zaina will begin her career as an associate at PwC in their consulting team in the company's Detroit office.
This is a dream come true, to stand here and address my fellow 2023 graduates. First, I would like to thank my mother, who held the world in her hands as she prayed for me to have a better life. My brothers, who paved the way for my dreams, and my family and friends, who cheered me on every step of the way. I would also like to acknowledge our professors, advisors, and mentors. And most importantly, my fellow graduates, who will inspire generations to come. When I was 8 years old, my little brother and I would run around barefoot on a random windy day in Syria with the mission of inventing human wings. We ran around with this ripped plastic bag in the dream that one day we could magically fly. We looked at that bag and saw wings, looked at each other, and saw world-renowned pilots and inventors. Little did we know that 2 years later, and we would finally fly. My family and I left Syria in 2011 with nothing but the desire to succeed in a space where we can dream and learn freely. However, I quickly learned that the journey to growing and achieving my goals would not be one without its obstacles. During my first day of middle school, I remember walking into the classroom with a sense of hope and excitement. But with every interaction I had, my sense of belonging started fading away. I would sit through my classes trying to both learn the science of clouds and volcanoes in the entirety of the English language at the same time. And as each day passed, my dreams felt further and further out of reach. My mother eventually sat me down and asked me to close my eyes. She told me to envision the world the way I would like to see it, and in that moment, I finally envisioned myself belonging into this unknown space and making it my own. I realized that if you change the way you view the world will change. This was a launching point for me to initiate my journey of wonder and seek a sense of belonging in this unfamiliar world. The first step was learning English. I began to carve out my own space every morning by plugging in my headphones and listening to When I Was Your Man by Bruno Mars while reading along the Arabic translation. As my classmates would scroll through Instagram, I would be in the back of the classroom trying to keep up with my Duolingo streak, and before long, I was fluent in English. While not everyone here had to learn a new language, we have all felt the feeling of not belonging at some point. As you step into the next phase in your life, remember, not everywhere will feel like it's meant for you, but you have the power to create your own space. There is always a room where you belong, so do not walk in and mistake the walls for your own limitation. Fast forward 7 years, and I am still carving places of belonging for myself. I'm sure many of us felt the same way when we arrived at Tippie, not knowing where we fit in. But what I've learned during our time here is that there are spaces that don't exist until we create them. Stepping onto campus, I felt like I belonged everywhere yet nowhere at once. It wasn't until I finally bought one of those Tippie College of Business shirts that I felt like a true Hawkeye. Up until that point, I was flying solo, but right when I put that shirt on, it felt like a community welcomed me in, and the space that I created for myself was unified by others. Building a community of belonging isn't just about creating a space for yourself, but also for the people around you. For me, that went beyond simply buying a Tippie shirt. I found the Hawkeye Nation and the unity it brings everywhere. I'm not just talking about the heartbeat of the Pennacrest or the quiet zone in the Biz Hub, but I found it in intangible ways. I saw it in the UPO newsletters, with all its announcements of events and case competitions where our teams would demonstrate creativity and innovation worthy of shaping industries. I saw it in the invitations I received from professors and advisors, motivating me to stay engaged and participate in events. And while these may seem like small details, within these invitations and events, I saw passion that transcends the walls of Tippie. Conversations I would have in little pockets of Papajan introduced me to my own voice. Whether it was speaking with Dean Keen on a random Monday morning about financial literacy, having discussions with my professors where a simple question turned into a trail of ideas, or working on group projects where spending days trying to figure out a time to meet turned into endless conversations. Every story, every idea, every conversation allowed me to see that I mattered and that there was a place for me here. And belonging becomes not a physical place, but a feeling within. The feeling of being welcomed, celebrated, and seen. And while we may not have the power to build plastic human wings anytime soon, we have something far more powerful. We created and carved spaces together, and the spaces we once felt uncertain in, the ones we made our own, started evolving and becoming. Standing here, I am reminded of that little girl with nothing but a plastic bag. She has the same dreams, the same aspirations, and the same love for exploring the spaces around her. Only, she runs around in a bordered land while I am here with the power to let my ideas take flight. To stand here means that we finally did as we dreamed, to overcome every hardship with unparalleled resilience, to belong to different places at once, to wonder and imagine better, to break every wall that has tried to confine us, and to welcome new opportunities. We have raised our voices for ourselves and for each other. To stand here means that we finally did as we dreamed, making room for new skies and new horizons. Thank you.
Thank you, Zaina. At this time, Senior Associate Dean Thomas and I would like to recognize several student honors and achievements. Each year, Delta Sigma Pi awards the scholarship key to the graduating senior with the highest grade point average. This year's award is presented to Ryan Gudenkoff, who is receiving a BBA in finance. Ryan.
Congratulations, Ryan. The Tippie College of Business awards degrees with highest distinction to students in the highest 2% of the graduating class, with high distinction to students in the next highest 3%, and with distinction to students in the next highest 5%. Distinction is designated by gold stars worn on the left sleeve. As I call each group of students, please rise to be recognized. Audience, I ask that you hold your applause. Will those graduating with highest distinction please stand? Will those graduating with high distinction please stand? And will those graduating with distinction please stand? We would also like to recognize the students who are graduating with honors in their major and university honors. Will those graduating with honors please stand? Membership in Beta Gamma Sigma is the highest recognition a business student can earn. To be eligible for membership, a student's individual academic ranking must place them in the upper 10% of the junior class or in the upper 10% of the senior class. Would those students graduating as members of Beta Gamma Sigma please stand? Congratulations. And finally, we also recognize students who undertook 4 or more multiple hands-on learning experiences through our Tippie Rise program. Would the students graduating with 4 or more Tippie Rise experiences please stand? Congratulations.
Here we go. Will the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Business Administration please rise? Vice President Schultz, these candidates have completed all the requirements for the degree Bachelor of Business Administration and are recommended to you by the faculty of the Henry B. Tippie College of Business for the conferring of this degree.
On recommendation of the faculty of the Henry B. Tippie College of Business and by authority vested in me by the Board of Regents, State of Iowa, I confer on each of you the degree Bachelor of Business Administration as qualified and designated.
We'll turn the tassels later. Will the graduates please be seated? And Charles Keene, Associate Dean of the Undergraduate Program and Professor of Instruction of Marketing, and Michelle Williams, Associate Professor of Management and Entrepreneurship, John Micklow Faculty Fellow in Entrepreneurship, will now recognize each of the graduates individually. Will the marshals please begin leading the graduates forward to be recognized?
Megan Christine Beam.
Madeline O'Rourke.
Madeline Joel.
Maddie Gilbertson.
Alexander Hendricks Robinson.
Carrigan Quinn Hartsook.
David Para.
Hannah Pierce.
Louis Ludwig Kenry III.
Quinn Redeker.
Dominic Robert Caponera.
Maxwell James Walker.
Brendan Royce Cohn.
Colin John Stasica.
Jonathan Michael Cohen.
Alexandra Gelafijo.
Carter Andrew Doro.
Elizabeth K. Dix.
Zachary Thomas Bully with highest distinction.
Kayla Ray Van Langen with University Honors.
Ryan Thomas Gudenkoff with highest distinction.
Cassidy A. Brunshin with high distinction.
Zaina Abishar.
Nathan Thomas Goodwin with highest distinction.
Cole James Ludwig.
Jonathan Fernandez.
Sean Philip O'Brien with highest distinction.
Zach Dijon.
Zachary Thomas Heidecker.
Jonathan Christian Gray.
Spencer Michael Good.
Bennett Anthony Amoroso.
Kaylee Brotke.
Luca Orsi Pestinato.
Right here. Caitlin Rose Barton.
Michael Carly Tangredi.
Caitlin Marie Wallace.
Jackson George Grissamore.
Megan Marie Malari with University Honors.
Garrett Wade Michael.
Grace Amy McCaffrey.
Madeline May Ruland.
Natalie Olivia Brotheridge.
Sarah Nicole Kilberg with highest distinction.
Brianna Marie Bittler.
Tim Zhang.
Faith Shiley.
Ryan Marquez.
Amanda Miller.
Veronica Carview.
Devin Kerbian.
Olivia Seastrand.
Kale Braden Crispin.
Gabriel Matilda Nolan.
Riley Marie Coney with highest distinction.
Madison Nicole Lehman.
Kendall Rose Watson with distinction.
Lauren Ashley Peters.
Maxwell Turfler.
Brenna Jameson.
Victor Pollock.
Alexandra Grace Orico.
Jaime Cepeda.
Anna Claire Vonderhaar.
Oh, right. Matthew Robert Oliver.
Rain Emmanuel.
Ryan John Rice.
Violet Jane Huber.
Patrick William Boyer.
Catherine Christine Chapman.
Zachary Brockman.
Schaefer Caldwell.
Benjamin Richard Musalevich.
Megan Rose Wright.
Keegan Merrill McRae.
Connor R. Mackey.
Joshua Thomas Squires.
Delaney Callis.
Jillian Ashley Ziran.
Ellen Roseman.
Ryan Stokes with University Honors and highest distinction.
Kaylee Mary K. Keller.
Paul Michael Eikenberry with highest distinction.
Charlotte Benning.
Casey Marie Friedner.
Jessica Yugovich.
Kelly Lynn Knorr.
Bridget Kerwin DeZeller.
Haley Marie Porter.
Delaney Scott Doyle.
Caitlin Gail Ryan with University Honors and highest distinction.
Kimberly Jacqueline Hartlib.
Madison Irene Needlekoff.
Thomas Hartlib.
Christina Marie Kaufman.
Abby Jo Hill.
Ashley Anna Stepien.
Alex Thompson.
Hannah Elizabeth Becker.
Julia Tomzak.
Jamie Ray Schulte with highest distinction.
Phoenix Kim Doan.
Carly Wilkins.
Nicole Molina.
Molly Catherine Burns.
Angela Pandit.
Stephanie Marie Apitz.
Maham Huck with University Honors with highest distinction.
Megan Brooke Decker.
Mateo Oscar Hernandez.
Tikan Bakam Ho.
Jesus Velasco.
Jackson Ernest Kithcart with highest distinction.
Sarah Michelle Porter.
Christopher Niebar.
Jordan Jean Colton.
Kelly Elizabeth McGee with highest distinction.
Gabrielle Ann Allen.
Catherine Grace Von Arman.
Paloma Solorio.
Caleb Fitch.
Jacqueline Thompson.
Lily June Ginskow.
Noah Joseph Westhoff with highest distinction.
John Andrew Cartuz.
Izzy Wilcox with University Honors with distinction.
Stephanie Natalia Jaska.
Kobe Daniel Terronez.
Eden Schreiber Post.
Thomas Patrick Bander.
Mary Rose Badtram.
Lucas Christian Satower.
Danny Arkfeld with highest distinction.
Charlie Stallins Rolacek.
Lainey Madeline Alfano.
Zachary Michael Raydell.
Samantha Ann Reeker.
Thomas Surek.
Olivia Marie Dockler with University Honors and highest distinction.
Ben Bogaldis.
Thea Christine Hyland.
Drew Jacob Van Goricum.
Sarah Kathleen Phillips with University Honors and highest distinction.
Dayan Patrick Van Gorkum.
Grace Michelle Monternac.
Jace Robert Cavan.
Elizabeth Michelle Tigalar.
Cade Haranhan.
Hector Alfonso Carusco.
I'm gonna wait. Luke William Young.
John Patrick Bowenkamp.
Stephen Tram.
Sawyer Wilson.
Gregory Paul Bitterman.
Morgan Albertson.
Michael William Cotis.
Jetta Lynn Golombiski.
Morgan Elizabeth Tima with high distinction.
Margaret Johnson.
Cameron Robert Meany.
Jack William Davis.
Anna Josette Hulk Farnham with distinction.
Patrick Doyle Farnan.
Matthew Gregory Helberg.
William Donald Jeffers.
Trey Thomas Donald Angel with distinction.
Jacob Adam Zalman.
Adam Severson.
Zachary Vincent Lupori.
John Michael Meese.
Charles Daniel Pigato.
Rachel Carson Arndt.
Sean Francis Marin.
Nate Westholm.
Connor Francis Devlin.
Jack Holden Voss.
Jacob Peter Carlson.
Jared John Muller.
Vincent Anthony D'Amato.
Elise Amy Wagenbach.
Annabella Doherty.
Sophia Marie Hostas.
Peyton Ann Walker.
Jessica Christine Nia.
Andrew Matthew Evangelista.
Lillian Kathleen Wood.
Dylan J. Connor.
Courtney Kathleen Markham.
Jake Robert Nelson.
Emily Elizabeth Bartosik.
Matthew Dixon.
Madeline May Dewey.
Emily Andrea Patterson.
Emily Christine Hijek.
Lauren Krug.
Madeline Grace Uniz.
Grace Ann Hastings.
J.S. Coleman Winders.
Bailey Ray Lamb with University Honors and highest distinction.
Katie Meredith Tucker.
Emma Constance Kaczynski with University Honors.
Matthew Clark.
L. Christine Kramer with University Honors and distinction.
Charlie Amur.
Emily Rose Ellinger with University Honors.
Thomas J. Laughlin.
Guy Riddenquist with distinction.
Kaylee Ann Leverly.
Adahar Agarwal.
Carla Yvette Leone.
Nico Brusalian.
Claudia Marcia Sulabu.
Alexander Ryan Bischoff.
Giselle Rivas.
Maya Chelsea Hawkins.
Concetta Rosa Maria Palomo.
Lemuel James Bascombe.
Alex Jeffrey McDonald.
Ria Amari Dingra.
Wisin Ku.
Giovanna Racido Dio.
Jiatao Den.
Marcus Roche Kasten.
Zhang Zhao.
Wenji Wang.
Gawanji Town.
Benjamin Alexander Bylevin.
Joseph Daniel Beston.
Come on, Carver. Harris Halligan.
Joseph Michael Greenlee.
Mary Elizabeth Voss.
Ellison Marie Yoder.
Abby Lynn Gosson.
Giselle Ann Wozniak.
Alexis Elizabeth Marty with distinction.
Jessica Christine Hines.
Anna Capon Brooker.
Sophia Leona Like.
Hannah Mae Galen.
Madeline Burke.
Allison Grace Zucker.
Elizabeth Ann Kaub.
Sung Ho Chang.
Bryce Duma.
David Cox.
Elise Ophelia Izumi.
Franz Valentine.
John Thomas Patchett.
Justin Stefan Shimolowski.
James Spencer.
Jack Carew.
What is it? Andrew Ward Tillotson.
Evan Jack Pogge with distinction.
Carter John Turbot.
Josie Gabrielle Bedard.
Thomas Michael Shea.
Noah Bedard.
Brett James Moody.
Caroline Ann Bush.
Hunter Edward Eustler.
Claire Elizabeth Krufel.
John Francis Tiernke.
Abriana G. Valenti.
Ryan Patrick Yosan.
Paige Mackenzie Williams.
Cale Fairchild.
Carson Angeline Kirchner.
Mario Antonio Guadiana.
Abby Marie Vajarno.
Richard Tan Din.
Marley Rose Ballinger.
Nicholas Alexander Kasandrovich.
William Patrick Corbin.
Elliot Henry Martin with high distinction.
William Mitchell Gerstung.
Cadell Allen Coakley.
Haley Stussman.
Maya Ladonna Char.
Emily Sharkey.
Jonah John Jamison Schaefer with University Honors with Distinction.
Carson Marie Noble.
Erica Marie Rasmussen.
Ina Barashaka.
Lillian Marie Stark.
Eli Gingrich.
Kenna Jewel Kenasire.
Devin Matthew Miller.
Caitlin Marie Strayer.
John C. Bladorn.
Shane Arnold.
Alejandro Aguila.
Emma Louise Stokes.
Zachary Eversmeyer with high distinction.
Reagan Catherine J. Garels.
Parker James Schmidt.
Margareta Marie Moat.
And Catherine Solis with University Honors.
Jaden Corinne Utek with University Honors with highest distinction.
Alexandra Reese Scharenberg with distinction.
Emily Murphy.
Casey Byer.
Leela Marie Liebeck.
Stephanie Allison Bellis.
Samantha Jo Ward.
Elise Marie Bodart with high distinction.
Patrick Bleedorn Haas.
Rachel Marie Hensley.
Ethan Patrick Straight.
Ella Cassell Pershnitsky.
Bryce Jacob Bullman with high distinction.
Nathaniel Mark Eads with high distinction.
Itzel Segura.
Tyler Wellman.
Colleen Marie Philbin.
Trevor Jeffrey Feller.
Chloe Nicole Wilson.
Colton David Smith.
Dylan Schaefer.
Niall Gibson Reidenauer.
Daniel Robert Barrett.
Cole Paul Human.
Nathan Wetmore.
Rayong Ju.
Daniela Rubarchek with University Honors with highest distinction.
Ziyu Jen.
Jenna Marie Zimmerman.
Aramine Avedich.
Okay, you're welcome. Mariana Julia Votos.
Paul Lannon Keys.
Ella Rourke Gibson.
Alexa Morgan Nelson.
Zachary Willenzik.
Hannah Marie Allpress.
Eric Stephen Rum.
Connor Ray Beath.
Cole David Seifert.
Emma Nicole Evers.
Ethan Michael Ross with University Honors.
Ava Ryan Torgeson.
Jacob Michael Miller.
Grace Kathleen DeWolf.
Lucas Troy Shipley.
Hannah Catherine Hudson 62052. Alyssa Grace Campen.
Shay Bradley Shipley.
Megan Elizabeth Daly.
Anthony Joseph Migliori.
Jared Samuel Ruiz.
Nate Crease.
Olivia Ryan Kramer.
David John Mendrink.
Kaylee Rose Groen.
Justin Robert Maroon.
Shay Elizabeth Fuller.
Joseph Andrew Roberts.
Jordan Ray Tinninger.
Madison Kilderman.
Madison Marie O'Leary.
Morgan Elizabeth Naraki.
Lakin Taylor Hermiston.
Jakes Lee Lamb with high distinction.
Sophie Smith.
Anthony James Logan.
Megan Marie Holtzman.
Hunter Christian Perry.
Riley Renee Hull.
Tyler Sochit.
Megan Nicole Ballard.
Brittany Lynn Postma.
Christopher Cade Coburg.
Gabriella Rian Rickleaf.
Sarah Charlotte Cohn.
Julia Catherine Mindy.
Elias Crow Anderson.
Michael Flynn Rosner.
Jackson Ambrose Smith.
Madeline Catherine Panzer.
Tim Patrick Ashroll Jr.
Madeline Montgomery King.
John Mario Ruddy.
Allison Joe Robinson.
Caleb Daniel Cook with University Honors and highest distinction.
Lauren Ann McCullough with University Honors.
Logan Pratt with University Honors and distinction.
Brendan O'Connor with highest distinction.
Shelby Lynn Mann.
John Inc. with distinction.
Jack David Klazak.
Reed Hurt.
Meredith Klingman.
Jared Bradley Graubard.
Haley Haldeman.
Caleb Arthur Bikema.
Destiny Rose Burns with highest distinction.
Luke Robert Henoki.
Lily Marie Humpall.
Alex Van Steenhouse.
Olivia Faye Margaret Barnes.
Matthew Connor Purcell.
Kennedy Ray McCloy.
Scott Kerno with University Honors with Honors in Economics with highest distinction.
Jack A. Shafransky.
Christopher David George Stafford.
Gregory Zintemeyer.
Mason Mark Zaker.
John Thomas Henderson.
Frank Anthony Uncurso.
Timothy James Cook.
Gabriel John Locken with highest distinction.
Cade Keenan.
Cal Kellogg.
Kyle Stephen Kukta.
Adam Cole.
Hunter Mamer.
Emily Jewel Hayes.
Eric Ashbrenner.
Samantha Taylor Robbie.
Mariah May Frieden with high distinction.
Leanne Histerkamp.
Caitlin Mary Gallagher.
Luke Alexander Navarrete.
Nicole Marie Bath.
Ali Beustad.
Emma Jan Hoyer with distinction.
Darby Eugenie Crone.
Isabel Anderson.
Ella Schrader.
Letzi Wright.
Brenna Jean Mays.
Emily Catherine Cray with highest distinction.
Trevor Dean Leiden.
Lydia Rose Thomasy.
Austin Michael Phillips.
Matthew Allen Werkerka.
Colton Bradley Woods.
Brendan Aiden Brannigan.
Jorge Patita.
Daniel Morrissey.
Hannah Elizabeth Mashing with University Honors.
Noah Michael Highsmith.
Emily Elizabeth Brushin.
Jack Stazak.
Hannah Mae Ruzika.
Harrison Thomas Hall.
Maggie Mae Paulson.
Lindsay Harvey.
Clayton Michael DeBrouwer.
Kent Michael Kragenbrink.
Zhong Zhang.
Nico Madrigal.
Jun Si Shiyu.
Jacob Daniel Rausch.
Alvin Zhang.
Samuel Charles Ambrosi.
Cheng Chen.
Callahan Marie Dillinger.
Kishu Yi.
Jenna Lynn Anderson.
Matthew James Mayberry.
McKenna Louise Borhavy.
Unusa Rayo.
Jackson Patrick Frericks.
Debbie Hostra with highest distinction.
Jameson Michael Whitty.
Isabel Boyd.
Charles Douglas Custer.
Jason David Sobek.
Logan Thomas Hogia.
Jack Johnson.
Mallory Jean Brand.
Brandon Mitchell Nolan, with high distinction.
Camille Alexandra Hendricks.
Danielle Lynn Baltimore, with university honors, with high honors in economics, with distinction.
Madison Paige Cocamiller.
Caden Matthew Cruz.
Molly Lynn Gladstone.
August James Rosenmeyer.
Brooke Elizabeth Gazinski.
Mason Heckman.
Dominique Anatelli.
Timothy Vincent Huff.
Abigail Faith Callahan.
Sean Hermatsu.
Nora Dunnigan.
Jack Elliott Kinzer.
Megan Elizabeth Malarkey.
Corey Michael Wythrother.
Allison Rose Van Nieuwenhuis.
Michael Turone.
Georgetta Elizabeth Nushawander.
Andrew Gordon Tribby.
Taylor Olison.
Parker Westhoff.
Nicholas Paul Raker.
James Anthony Mudd III.
William Vincent Christensen.
Benjamin Joseph Liebold.
Cayman Matthew Woods.
Wade Edward Wilkins.
Ryan Anton Brickhouse.
Donald William Patnode.
Nia Maya Howlett.
Jack Lehman.
Isabella Brighton Smiley.
Zachary Daniel Waters.
Sophia Tuich Rupert.
Benjamin Sheridan.
Laurel Ann Deegan.
Connor Dietrich Elbach.
Alexandra Nicole Abuasali.
Jonathan Michael Cole.
Kennedy Elizabeth Backus.
Shalom Lanza.
Elizabeth Hadley Gifford.
Anna Elizabeth Miller.
Kylie Nicole Coonrod.
Thomas Scott Eggert.
Abigail Marie Christensen with University Honors and highest distinction.
Stephanie Ann Thompson.
Taylor Ann Noonan with distinction.
Owen Michael Corey.
Elizabeth Evans.
Anthony Jordan Olesko.
Sarah Grawl.
Noah Gordon Prushad.
Jack Tyler Pawlowski.
Joshua Merle Meldy.
Blake Alexander Schultz.
Kyle Hollis Watkins.
Jacob Alexander Sneddick.
Sarah Annabelle Teo.
Tess Eliathorpe.
Ben Day.
Adeline Johansson.
Christopher Harry DeLujanes.
Joseph Robert Paul.
Ethan Holub, with distinction.
Jackson Scott Hoskin.
Eric Jeremy Bengzer, with highest distinction.
Garrett George Knowles.
Mason Jack James.
Andrew Paul Willett.
Ryan Charles DeWilkins.
Matthew John Rice with high distinction.
Gilbert Walter Kubica.
Ionis Villalasquez.
Hayden Richard Passmore.
Tyler Scott Fouts with distinction.
Nicole Rund with distinction.
Benjamin Michael Shamino.
Katie Marie Zawoski.
Weston Douglas Powers.
Anna Rose Reeser.
Connor Harold Bruck.
Alec Chandley.
Jacob Paul Miller.
Evan Scott Newcomb.
Alex Joseph Frescura.
Michael Anthony Samataro.
Peyton Lockus.
Christian Gregory Spatovkov.
Ethan Pace Orr.
Benjamin Glenn Shabazz.
Justin Patrick Marshall.
Charles Paul Maxwell.
Simon Alexander Carmel.
Jack David Mato with high distinction.
Daniel James Haspardeski.
Chandler Opdahl.
Braden A. Boucher with University Honors and Distinction.
Ryan Stroshine.
Jack Maurice Mossberger.
Peyton Lee Weber with distinction.
Braden Garrett Eubanks.
Zachary Daniel Timmer.
Lucas Allen McCartney.
Olivia Grace Wright.
William Loudon Dome.
Stephanie Garcia.
Kayla Marie Smith.
Jack Tegan Oler.
John Ross Hickson.
Mario Maisie.
Alexis Ray Tolan.
Reese Spangler.
Charles Jordan Skimp.
Sheridan Alexis Culp.
Nick Timmerman with highest distinction.
Eric Matthew Clifton.
Jack Holden Massey.
Hi. Odin McDonald.
Carl Robello.
Caden Joseph Red.
Jack Vandermillen.
Calvin Marks.
Dane Cordray.
Bara Shady Suleiman.
William Ronald D-Dob Ellar.
Lauren Allison Wakeman.
Andrew R. Nord.
Connor Joyce with University Honors.
Mason Gaindi.
Grant Wells Wobold with distinction.
Zachary Rogers Albright.
Kylie Elmore with distinction.
Seth Watson.
Peyton James Combo.
Dithome Jimmy Kun Win.
Jack Daniel Young.
Thomas Michael Kuhn.
Leon Hadley Van Every.
Cade Snakenberg.
Ben Pelia.
Isaiah Dalton Deason.
Nicholas Wayne Zinani.
Madison Rose Stuckmeyer.
David Stephen Council.
Madeline Suzanne Ward.
Owen Patrick Brennan. Hi.
Ashlyn Mayana Zemlicka.
Cami Nicole Nagel with highest distinction.
Eli Joseph Havlick.
Catherine May Lemko.
Joseph Coleman Ezek.
Anna Kathleen Nigel.
Tyler Anderson Puck.
Samantha Ann Longo.
Alex Page.
Amanda Rose McCormick.
Owen Joel Pearson.
Grace Elizabeth Nelson.
Dominic Julian Walter Gadad.
Trevor Lynch.
Kang Shang.
Noah Allen Murray.
Joel Cachapilli.
Drew Hartwig.
Zoe Mira Green.
Bryce Joseph Barnett.
Bria Nicole Baxter.
Austin David Bringing.
Ethan Graham Friedman.
Tommy Melays.
Victoria Markinson.
Janto Min.
Jillian Landeck.
Thank you. Penwan Q.
Danielle Joanna Schwan.
Carter Ladine. Thomas Lance Nygren.
Matthew David Mayer.
Colby Allen Nickel.
Thomas David Robinson.
Brandon Kazada.
Cole Robert Hoffman.
Alexander Kent No.
Shua Wang.
Bryson Baston.
Eric Ronald Johnson.
Harrison Gunnar Hartgrave.
Luke Sams.
Hunter Michael Hartgrave.
Jacob Roginski.
Aaron P. Larson.
Daniel McLaughlin.
Colton Allen Brandt.
Jack Caligiuri.
Quincy Drake Rand Cleve.
Blaine Robert Stanton.
Richard Charles Novetsky III.
Ryan Nelson Stokes.
Emily Rose Higbee.
Brandon Tyler Sharkey.
Austin Jeffrey Marquardt.
Jack Barth.
Connor Umbright.
Tyler Dennis Carabinas.
Kayla Michelle Quanstrom.
Christopher Cade Coakley.
Ella Elizabeth Simca.
Nicholas Thomas Gavin.
Gabriella Ann Blau.
Mitchell Allen Hall.
Jocelyn McCabe Zog.
Aiden Bauer Ward.
Cassidy Rose Lamb.
Clay Smith.
Bryn Elizabeth Carr.
Adam Lee Burns.
Haley Elizabeth Choney.
Michael Benjamin Schallert.
Nicholas Ann Olchek. Nicole Ann Nolchek.
Rohan Jignes Shaw.
Nicole Jarninsky.
Bryce Michael Hansen.
Dylan Michael McGuire.
Patrick Downing Sheehy.
Paul Frederick Hansen.
Colin Christopher Dockmo.
Alec James Mickle.
Ryan Colin Hensian.
Eric Benjamin Lenzen.
Jack Michael Keogh.
Mason Elliott Hatfield.
Davis Christopher Coppinger.
Aaron Matthew Wendell.
Jeremy Paul Strove.
Michael Headington.
Ryan Lynn Shaughnessy with University Honors.
Rachel Moss.
Aaron Catherine Lieberman.
Garrett Spencer Bliddy.
Bailey Elizabeth Hookstein.
Samuel Richard Montague.
Aaron Matthew Zucker.
Cameron Jeffrey Pelozos.
Kevin Daniel Cavazos.
Griffin Z. Jones.
Austin W. Quinn with University Honors.
Jack Stunkel.
Andrew Sherman.
Mac Alex McCallenberg.
Jacob Swanson with University Honors.
Cole Lopez Peterson.
Nathan Jeffrey Nessler.
Richard Joseph Russo Jr.
Garrett Edgar Sneed.
Brandon Matthew Baker, University Honors.
Matthew Manzine.
Highest distinction. Noah Edward Mika, highest distinction.
Sean Gertzma.
Connor Parno.
Michael Robert Trizinka.
Gabriel Stephen Miller.
Anthony Joseph Arquilla.
Rory Gordon.
Austin John Stockdale.
Benjamin Emery Switzer.
Lucas Paul Haverkamp with highest distinction.
Max Campbell.
Robert John Ford with highest distinction.
Kennedy James Bender.
Iris Elena España.
Reese Carter Somers. Mitchell Todd Temperley.
Andy Cazeta.
Andrew Queering.
Joseph Sacramento with distinction.
Spencer Eugene Griffin.
Michael Robert Moeller.
Mitchell Mangold.
Kyle Mark Safran.
Noah Conradi Pearson.
Alec Charles Goodman with University Honors.
Nicholas Wiley Phelps.
Luke Reardon.
Andrew Ryan Donovan.
Keegan Nickel.
Matthew Christopher McDonald.
Liliana Gaibu.
Rory Connolly.
Janice Jaiwang. Truck Ho. Eric Jiang.
Well, that was really fun. Ready?
The turning of the tassel is the traditional gesture by which each student signifies passage from degree candidate to graduate. Will each of you now mark your new status by turning the tassel of your cap from the right side to the left side? Members of the faculty, Vice President Schultz, Dean Christoph Brown, I present to you the Tippie College of Business class of 2023. We congratulate you all.
Congratulations, everyone. We are so proud of this class. Without their dedication and hard work, this day would not have been reached. Those of you in the audience should be so proud of all you've done to help your graduate accomplish their goals. Your guidance, understanding, and compassion, your faith in their abilities, and your love and support have been critical to their success. For what you have done to help these graduates, we thank you. Graduates, today marks a personal milestone in your lives. You've received a degree from the University of Iowa's Henry B. Tippie College of Business. You've worked hard to achieve this goal. faced many challenges, made discoveries about yourself and others, and grew into leaders who will make a difference in our communities. In February of last year, Henry Tippie passed away at the age of 95. Although he's no longer with us physically, his enterprising spirit, his deep sense of gratitude, and his commitment to excellence is alive and well in our college. Henry formalized his business and life philosophy into something that he called Tippie's Laws. You will find a copy of them on your program today, and I encourage you to keep them with you to take some of Henry's wisdom with you wherever you go. I highlight 2 of these laws today. Every day is a fresh start, and operate with a sense of urgency. Tomorrow is a new start for you as a college graduate. You have sacrificed much and worked toward a meaningful goal, and you have earned the right to rest and rejuvenate, but also the privilege to go and do great things in this world. With every action that you take, pursue excellence with urgency to make business, your community, and your relationships with others to be strengthened and to create something meaningful. Henry has done that for all of us here today, and I encourage you, starting tomorrow, to find ways to make your positive impact on the world. We hope that in the years to come, you will fondly remember your time at Tippie, stay engaged with us in the years to come through our alumni events and your Tippie YouTube channel, where you can find alumni panels with industry insights and insights from some of your favorite Tippie faculty. Your continued engagement with us as alumni through time, talent, and treasure will help keep this college great in the same way that alumni have supported you while you were here. Congratulations, and best of luck to you in the future.
Thank you, Dean Christoph Brown. And now we will conclude today's commencement ceremony. I ask that everyone please remain seated for the recessional. The platform party will exit first, followed by the graduates. Congratulations, graduates. Will our new Tippie alumni please join your friends and family on the concourse level? These proceedings are now adjourned.
Thank you.